Hi guys, today we will look in the scenario in which Ethiopia forms an empire. Yeah, and somehow it happens. And the first thing they do is a full-on invasion of Djibouti. Yeah. And then they run in. Well, within hours they take over the country. Not the quickest war was half an hour. Besides that, well, it took shorter than Denmark did. And now they have access to the coast, so they build a navy to guard the water. Well, they invade Kenya. And well, the invasion of Kenya starts with Ethiopian forces crossing the border into Kenya. And well, Kenya doesn't put up much of a defense. Ethiopia heads to the coast. And they take over the coast, destroying this encirclement. Well, with their quick advances, they manage to take over these lands. Well, they do this. Well, then they move this way. Well, they successfully take over Kenya, with moving some naval vessels all the way down to Kenya to establish naval dominance here. So it's ready for a big war. Well, the East African Federation doesn't like this, but they allow it. Well, some countries start worrying about the dangers of the expansionist Ethiopia, such as the DRC, who signs a pact with multiple nations, because South Sudan was worried. In the north, well, another pact is signed. In these nations, Ethiopia is kind of in a bad spot, because if they go south, they hit a pact. But then they have a genius idea. They invade Yemen. It basically does not occupy any sea. Well, they occupy these lands, the sea. Let's say. And they go into the Arabian Peninsula quickly after taking these lands. Well, those waters. They quickly make landfall and push through the coast to the north, taking over this area, quickly taking over the two biggest cities of Yemen. Well, they push over here. Well, they successfully now control the Strait of something. What's that strait called? Well, They completely take out the rest of Yemen, quickly moving down to this island. Well, they take the island over. A peace treaty is signed. Ethiopia gains a lot of strategically important lands. They don't fully annex Yemen. No, they take the Strait area over. They take the south coast is what they decide to do. Well, now they are a world power. Oh, the strongest power. No, I'm kidding. But they are now a world power. Okay, so these two are the exact same. This can be the puppet color. Well, they move into Oman now. Which they quickly move through Yemen. No, Oman. I already took out Yemen. Oh, they push in. But some person doesn't like this expansionist Ethiopia joins with some raids to the south. That's Saudi Arabia quickly invading these lands. But Ethiopia continuing the same advance. And well, the big war is very massive. But they manage to stay ahead. They start one offensive. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia's navy is blocked and can't move. They can only get oil out this area. Which Ethiopia sees the opportunity and they get Iran to join. Which leads to Saudi Arabia gaining allies. And now the offensives. There's two offensives, but Iranian forces are just there. And well, the offensive in the south, with the naval advances, makes this offensive get pretty far. Because of how close they can get supplies in. And well, offensive in the south starts stalling out. With an eventual pushback of Ethiopian forces, mostly because they managed to get into Saudi Arabia, threatening Saudi Arabia. But quickly after, they start an offensive, a counter-offensive to the north. And they move down, almost encircling forces, but with forces quickly making the quickest retreat ever. Well, a fully mobilized Iranian navy starts movements in the two fronts, completely blocking Saudi Arabia off from world trade. With Iraq at that time seeing this as an opportunity. And what does America do? Nothing. Classic America. But Iraq moves in the north. Don't think this is even possible. And well, the Saudi Arabian counteroffensive continues against Ethiopia. But Ethiopia is They may have got pushed back, but on the plus, well, they made naval gains up to here, meaning it's harder for Saudi Arabia to enforce because they can't go with water to get there. They have to go this way or that way. They can't use water, which would be a quicker way. And well, they're completely kicked out of this area. And, well, Ethiopia starts an offensive into Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia pressured on multiple fronts. They retreat from here to keep Iraq from entering as much forces. And well, they also managed to kick them back, Iran back here. And they managed to liberate half of Kuwait. But more forces are sent to the Yemen front, meaning more gains are made. But Saudi Arabia doesn't like how gains are being made here, with this encirclement playing a huge role. And I'll be right back. There, with some Iranian forces joining them, and Ethiopia's offensive is going in the south well, with them cutting out these encirclements, with them at their greatest extent so far. Iran starts an offensive, and the plan here is to cut Saudi Arabia away from Oman, which goes successfully. Qatar just basically says there's no point in fighting this war, leaves. Saudi Arabian Navy disappears into the ocean. And this happens. Guess they had no navy to begin with. Well, after this, the quickest thing to happen is the UAE being taken over. And then the rest of Kuwait falls again. With Iraq's and Iran's offensive going well. Although Iraq is probably the weaker nation here, and they push south. And Ethiopia has brought itself all the way to a world power from a civil unrest. And they push up the coast. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia is encircled. Well, they switched the borders up with Yemen a bit. Well, guess who can't fight no longer? Someone, and their name is... This is a good surrender color, see? Surrendered. And an armistice is signed quickly. But now the peace treaty, Herjig was gave independence. South Saudi Arabia was made a puppet state of Yemen. Iraq made a puppet there, mostly as well a buffer state. And now Ethiopia is wondering what to do. They're like, oh. Yeah. Why did they say oh? Because look at them. They're expanding their naval dominance. You know who disagrees with it? The Pact. Who sends an ultimatum to Ethiopia, say stop sinking our ships and we won't go to war. Saudi and Ethiopia's like, what? But they keep sinking the navy. Nothing happens. They go 1 inch further, and the response is that they declare war. Yeah. They declare war. Like, really? You declare war? Not going to change a thing when you're talking about a strong nation who has naval dominance down south of the weakest nation. Yeah, and you know what they say? You should always plan to your weakest straws. And look at their weakest straws just going to be ran over. Well, then again, the Soviet army was not equipped well at all, and they still managed to dominate. Well, maybe it's not about how strong you are. Well, Ethiopia is ready for the biggest push seen so far in the war into Somalia. Oh my God, Somalia within hours falls. And then their navy falls. But there's one thing that they didn't account for. Well, and that's the north. Where quickly they make it across the water. And they land. They make an advance. They make a bigger advance. That's mostly a distraction. With which they fail to get Ethiopia to even bother with, and they push into the north. They take over Djibouti. Yeah, they almost take over half of original Ethiopia. They're like, yeah, victory will be easy. Meanwhile, Ethiopia is like, yeah, what do we do? We might need to cede land, they're thinking. And well, eventually, they move them back, slowly. They made major gains, including almost encircling there in an encirclement. But quickly, so they can encircle, they get pushed back and out of the country. And well, not encirclement part may have not been the best. With heavy resistance in Eritrea by Sudan and Egypt, Ethiopia inches forwards. Well, they eventually stall out. So, well, they go to the Navy. And you know what they do with their Navy? They take over the Red Sea. Yep. Who wouldn't want to take over the Red Sea? Well, maybe someone will come to their rescue. Oh, wait, how? What, Libya? What's Libya going to do? Nothing. Yeah, maybe make water more available. But besides that, what else would they really do? Oh, their advance continues. With them taking out Eritrea, a major morale blow, with them moving up Sudan's coast with them moving towards the Nile and making it there. Yeah, and they go down, and then they finish building their dam, and they cut all water going up there. No, I'm kidding, not all, but 50% of it. Actually, they block 70%, which, why would you do that? And, well, the Battle of Khartoum breaks out with an Ethiopian victory. And now they move up the Nile. Well, it's inevitable as they move towards Cairo. Well, they only occupy narrow areas, but nobody's fighting for some reason. Here. Well, to try and force a surrender out, they do this. No answer. Oh, they do some evil things to try and get surrender. They fail. But nobody's able to move except Ethiopia. So it's like, yeah. With them starting to bomb many targets that you shouldn't bomb. With the world hating on them now. Like, yeah. Well, their empire is a success, like a major success. With them doing this. With Sudan's people, with Sudan saying we will never surrender to tyranny. Well, you know what Ethiopia's like? What did you just say? We will never surrender to tyranny. And you know what Ethiopia says? What tyranny? Blocks all the media. Yeah. What, like empires do. An empire does as an empire does. With them starting to focus on getting prepared for. Well, they do this. They say it's a diplomatic approach. Yeah, diplomatic. The reason they take so much land is because they're angered by how hard the people were willing to fight. And the people are the force you're fighting. Oh, or you're fighting someone else. Who knows? Maybe Ethiopia support China. Are you supporting Ethiopia again? Well, they annex all these lands. Yeah. Why would somebody annex that much land? It makes a mess. Well, do you think empires care about mess? Considering, well, all empires just destroyed this planet's borders. Like, just look at the Arabian Peninsula. It's destroyed. Yeah. And then this is what they look like. They rename themselves to imperialist Ethiopia. And they make a very erratic claim of land. And I don't mean slightly. I mean this. And then, well, they claim this. Nobody accepts it. And Ethiopia says in an ultimatum, give me those lands or it's war. And you know what they say? No. We're not being bossed around by power. No. We refuse to be bossed around. We will never be bossed around or forced to fight, and we will never surrender. Come bullets, guns, or bombs, they basically say to the ultimatum. Actually, they say nothing. They say that after in a video conference where they burn that ultimatum and burn an Ethiopian flag. So, Ethiopia's a bit furious. And they slam with as much force as they can. But what they didn't expect was the resistance that would be put on them from civilians, civilian partisans. And they say, we will fight till the last drop of blood. Yeah, exactly. Ethiopia's in a bit of trouble because now they're being pushed back on multiple fronts. Well, they're being slowed to like a still, basically. With them only making this much advances. Well, there's still areas that are easier to invade. Well, the first thing they do is take out the Navy, which is actually quite easy. Because how's the DRC going to get the Navy there? Is what they think. But yeah, they might. Would they? Well, you can't underestimate the people's strength. You know who the strongest people are? The people. Without strong people, a country is doomed to fail. That's why so many countries lost in World War II. They didn't have enough resistance. So the people usually put huge amounts of resistance. And even a lot of those partisans kept their resistance well into the Soviet Union years. Well, they continue their advances. But they just allow them to encircle. They're told they can just leave, buy, or surrender. And you know what they say? No. Well, I'll be right back. Loads of encirclements. They can't really advance with this going on because of how much is going on, but they manage to take a lot of them out. Well, nobody surrenders. And they cross into the DRC after months of fighting. Like, months of fighting, and they're only here. Well, Kenya decides to take matters along its own and does this. They weren't even told to advance, and the people advance. Now, I'm not talking about just military people fighting, they're civilian targets. And they push up. They make an encirclement, which is not well equipped, falls quickly. But after that, they go on a campaign of like burning every village they go by, every town, every city to the ground, bombing it to the ground. But they keep doing it. Yeah, but empire-ish. They take out South Sudan after months of fighting. And then they take out Uganda, with many problems happening now. Logistical problems. No, I'm kidding. That would be funny. Yeah. With heavy resistance slowing them down. The Ethiopian Empire sends every force they have in. Okay. Every force in? Really? Ethiopia? Do you think you need that many? Oh, okay. If you do. If you say so. And, yeah, there's so many troops sent in by Ethiopia, but there's more troops than people. More troops than bullets. So you'll always win. Well, that's not how I think it works. But it worked for the USSR. Maybe it'll work. And they make one of the most erratic treaties ever seen on this face of this earth. With them annexing almost all of Tanzania. Like, I'm not joking. Look how much is left. They annex all of these lands. And they decide to keep this loose knit federation continuing south. They could have annexed all of South Sudan, but they like this country. Look at it. Just look at it. Are they trying to become Chile? Yeah, they look like Chile. You know I'm joking, right? But they do look like Chile. You have to agree with that. It's like, you know why the red countries are saying subscribe? Well, the winning side always says subscribe. You know what dictators didn't do in the past? They didn't subscribe to Wild Mapper. Like, no. Well, this is the Ethiopian Empire, the strongest nation to ever be seen. And then America looks and is like, how'd that happen? Was I paying much attention? Oh my god, we need to invade Iraq. We need the oil. What? Who said that? Okay. Somebody said that. But no, there's not going to be an American invasion of Iraq and Iran and that happened in 50 other Wild Mapper videos because that'd be too obvious. And thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. It would be great if you subscribe because, well, we're at 43 subscribers. I'm trying to get to 50 subscribers. That's 7 away. And I'm speeding up with getting subscribers. I wish. But yeah. Once I get to 50 subscribers, there'll be a special. Just like how when the capybaras took over the world. Yeah, meanwhile. What if Ukraine took over the world? That's possible. Maybe Russia, maybe Ukraine has real plans. And they're trying to take over the world. So maybe the Russian invasion is a stunt and they're actually invading Russia. And they're trying to make an empire. And maybe we're a part of Ukraine. Who knows? Canada. Yeah, well, I wouldn't want to be a part of that glorious empire. It takes strength to fight against an authoritarian ruthless dictator that's destroying your country. And thank you for viewing. I hope you subscribe. Please like, subscribe, and subscribe. And please tell me I don't made a mistake in this video. Yep, Zanzibar and something else united to form Tanzania. Yeah. And random fact. Yeah. Baku, Azerbaijan is the capital. Yep. And thank you for viewing. That's all for today's video. Wild Mapper out.